So we have Cassandra with Hipcamp, who's the gal's been probably smiling at you as you walked in the gate. So she works for Hipcamp, so she can speak way more in depth about Hipcamp, what it does. You're obviously stoked on it because every time I see you, you're all fired up. So you must believe in the mission.
I do.
Can you break it down for us?
Yeah, for sure.
Tell us about it.
Some of you got the Cliffs Notes as you were walking in. But basically, we partner with private landowners. I know we've been talking about that a bunch, to open up places to stay camp and get outside on their property. And I have the amazing fortune of working on the host side of our business. So I connect with landowners from all over the country with all different kinds of property. Many of them have been thinking about, how can I keep my land, my ranch, my farm, my family land? How can I pay my land taxes? And Hipcamp is an answer for them. It's a way to share what their life's work is. It's a way to share what they love, and it's a way to keep what they love. And so I believe in that mission very much. I didn't grow up in the outdoors. I grew up in New York City. But I found that I like who I am best when I'm outside. I don't know how many of you feel that way. So being able to create more opportunities for people to get outside and to enable landowners to continue to do what they love is just like a dream come true for me.
So what do you love most about working with the host community? Because you were at the event in California, right?
Yeah, I was.
So this event where I got pulled aside and cornered, which turned out to be super productive, grateful for that guy if he's listening on the internet. We got to meet the most amazing group of hosts from across the country doing incredible things, from seaweed and oyster camp.
Yeah.
In the Northeast.
Severn in Maine.
To people in California doing amazing things on agricultural properties and ranch lands. I mean, what is it about these characters that just gets you fired up, and what are some of the things that inspires you about their work?
I think so. I love our hosts. I get to talk to them every single day. I've done that for 3 years now, and they are just the most amazing people. They come from every corner of the country, of the world. They're doing unbelievable things, and my favorite thing about them is that they want to share it. Right? They have 80,000 acre cattle ranches that they're opening up to campers. They're bringing their families out to the campers and teaching the campers' kids how to fish all day, right? Who do you know who does that for free-ish, right? The fishing was free, the camping was not. They have 4-acre permaculture farms. They let people camp in their greenhouses in Santa Barbara, right? They are doing unbelievable things. And so my favorite thing about them is the why for them, right? Whether it's to fund a passion project or keep a business alive, whether it's to make their way of life sustainable. For a lot of them, that's a big part of it. Whether they're restoring their watershed or funding their daughter's wedding. There's so many things that people are doing. And the best part about it is that they want to tell people about it. They want to share with people, and they want to open up their life's work to strangers, which is pretty epic. I'm going to tell a quick story.
Please.
One of our first ever hosts, who has acreage of old growth redwood in Northern California, priceless land. She's restoring her watershed. She has a small scale ranch, and every year she would get letters from developers offering her significant amounts of money to develop her ranch. And she had a lot of bills to pay, and it started to become something she had to consider, selling off a part of herself, right, to maintain her lifestyle. And she started hosting hip campers 3, maybe 4 years ago, one of our first hosts. And she has been incredibly successful. And 2 years ago, she sent us framed a letter from a developer asking to buy her land. And she had a note attached that said, "This is junk mail to me now." And so she doesn't have to think about that anymore. She hosts people on her land. She has 3 sites. And it's enabling her to protect her life's work, to protect these redwoods, to protect our history, our land. Imagine what this country would look like if we didn't have private land. 60% of the land that's undeveloped here is private. It's essential. It's protecting biodiversity and wilderness corridors. The animals in our national parks don't know where the boundary is. You need these stewards, and they need money, and we need to get outside. So it all works.
I love that. That's so good. Well, and my little plug for redwood trees is when I was pretty young scientist, I spent a few years studying these giant redwood trees. And just to put in perspective, have you guys seen the giant redwoods? Big enough for you to drive a car through type thing? Well, once you get up to the top, the branches are so big and the canopies are so large. There might be a canopy of one tree that I've been in that's as big as this whole gravel area. And once you get up to the top, there's like blueberries and salmon berries and Doug firs and multiple, like a dozen plant species all growing in the tops of these trees. And they're like sky forests. And you can get up there and lie down on a branch that's maybe half as wide as this porch or this stage. I mean, it's just crazy. And you think about, like, they're still cutting down giant redwoods, and they're still cutting down giant cedars and some of these trees that are well over 1,000 years old. And it's pretty cool to be a part of an organization that's helping keep some of those systems intact. Because, I mean, like, once you cut one of those down, it's not coming back anytime soon.
I mean, I really used to think that you had to work in, like, the Park Service to conserve land or for a land trust. I used to think that conservation only happened on public land. I didn't really know that you could think of private land as wild or as nature. I didn't know that you could think of a farm as wild or as nature, and it totally is. And so, like, Hipcamp has totally shifted the way that I interact with the outdoors. I plan camping trips on dairy farms. Like, that's crazy. Who does that? And it's so cool. I make cheese on my camping trip, right? Like, it's totally shifting the way that we think about and value these spaces that are absolutely essential, not just to our identity, to our culture, to our way of life, but literally to our survival.
What are some of the types of structures and situations you can find yourself in? Because there's like tree houses and greenhouses and...
There's some pretty epic spots. I've kayaked into a campsite on an island in the Atlantic in Maine. I've stayed in a tiny house surrounded by national forest land in Colorado. I've stayed in a tree house in California with a dumbwaiter that you can get breakfast delivered to you through. And actually a turkey climbed on and, like, we brought it up by accident. And like, you open your tent door in the morning and there are cows everywhere. I stayed on a horse rescue ranch that had no, like, barriers between my tent and the horses. These are unbelievable experiences, and there's an enormous community of thousands of landowners who are making that possible.
So Leave It Better. Leave It Better is the theme for this event. It's something that we've kind of talked about through our various speakers. Mm-hmm. What's one way that you leave it better when you're out hip camping or just out in nature? Yeah,
so it's one of our values, and what we like to say is we leave it better from the kitchen sink to our code base. Like, you can leave everything better. And so I never see trash outside that I don't take responsibility for. I take a bag with me. I pick up sanitary trash when I'm in the outdoors. And a big part of Leave It Better to me is education. I think a lot of people just aren't familiar with getting outside, with camping, with using a composting toilet or digging a cat hole. And there's so many ways that you can leave it better by educating them. So I work to take people on backpacking trips and camping trips who feel hesitant about doing that for themselves. And that's one way that I really love to leave it better. It really fills my cup. I really think our mission is what makes us unique. And because of our mission, our community is unique. So I don't like to compare. Every experience is different. We're not really offering alternatives to hotels, right? So you're not going to find a lot like in a city, if any. But what we're really doing is connecting people with the outdoors. So the people who list on our platform, they aren't likely going to provide like bedding or mini bottles of shampoo. They're going to provide a flat spot or a glamping tent, or some of them have little bottles of shampoo, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But it's a different kind of experience. People are looking for different things, and we hear time and time again that the people who come to our host through Hipcamp, many of them also have other sites and other platforms, but Hipcampers are coming for the outdoor experience. They're leaving it better. They're cleaning up after themselves. They're leaving like gifts for the hosts. They're playing with the animals and participating in farm chores. So I think what makes us really unique is our mission and the people that mission brings to our platform on both sides of our business, from our community like you guys and from our hosts as well.